going to go to the thrift store, aka the charity shop, and check out what they have. And then like a whole new world kind of opened up to me from that. So that was really kind of eye-opening.
Basically protect the environment and protect the ecosystems and protect Mother Earth.
Do. And I think there's a lot of conflict between people that might be lazy to do it and having access. And also I'm trying to do bit by bit. So I think it doesn't have to be all or nothing. You don't have to be like fully living in a house made of trees.
Hi everyone, I'm Pedro. I'm very interested in the sustainability topic in general, in technology to power sustainability.
Okay. I'm Esme, I'm a presenter, I'm from Bristol. So I try and get into sustainability. I'm a vegetarian, so that's my way of trying to do something.
My name is Aimee, and I'm originally from New York City. I am a retail and e-commerce copywriter, so that's what I do. I came here on the advice of a tarot reader, so it's quite unusual.
My name's Arnett, I'm 25 years old, I'm a marketing assistant, I'm really into brands and creativity. In terms of sustainability, I feel like I do the minimal and I feel like I can do a lot more, and it's starting to become more of an issue to me now. So for me, the word sustainability brings to mind the way that we treat the world and our resources, and just the lack of wasting. And I feel like that could impact all aspects of life. So for me personally, that's where I feel I fall short, because I feel like I neglect certain parts of my life. So I feel like sustainability is a really broad topic.
For me, sustainability is about the interconnection of everything out, the environment, and as people and resources, that we're all interconnected in some way, in animals. And the thing is that with me, I mean, I don't feel anybody's perfect. You know, we can't just be like 100% with everything. But the thing is that the point is that for us to try step by step and just to be more conscious with our choices, I think that would be really amazing. I'm kind of from a different generation, so in the 90s we started kind of talking about Greenpeace and kind of talking about sustainability at that point. And for me, sustainability meant it was kind of like this really cool abstract thought that was just meaning kind of being more rooted in nature and natural and saving the Amazon and staying in all these things. But now kind of as I've become more of an adult in myself, I kind of realized, there's so much resources that's already available to us that we should be really kind of using.
When I hear the word sustainability, I think, if I'm being completely honest, it makes me feel quite stressed, because obviously a lot of the topics surrounding it are sad and it's quite overwhelming. But I find it really difficult when people are close-minded to it and say that they're like, oh, I don't want to listen to that, I don't want to hear that. So I'm trying to do bit by bit. So I think it doesn't have to be all or nothing. You don't have to be like fully living in a house made of trees and not ever go to the shop, but you don't have to be doing nothing. So yeah, I think a bit stressful, but I'm trying to navigate my way through it and be better.
I believe that we have to take care of the world, and we have to do actions that basically protect the environment and protect the ecosystems and protect Mother Earth.
I think I had quite a fortunate upbringing, but also I never had excessive amounts of anything in terms of being wasteful. So it wasn't like my parents would go to the shop and buy me loads of stuff and I'd have a room full of toys or anything like that. It's always in moderation. And with food, I was always taught you've got to eat everything off your plate, as I think a lot of people kind of are. And with things like recycling, my parents have always been really on it with recycling. Growing up, I remember washing out the yogurt pots and putting them in the right bin and all that sort of thing. So I think being pretty good. And I also grew up in the countryside, which I think really helps.
When I was about 13 years old, I recall that I had a pair of jeans and they developed a hole in the crotch area, and I was super embarrassed. I was like, oh my God. And I didn't want to tell my mom, and I knew we didn't have very good finances and I didn't want to bug her about it. So I was like, oh. So I would sit there and try to mend them and sew them, and I kept doing that over and over again until the point, as you know, it doesn't work after a while, you know? So then I went to my mom, I was like, oh my God, but like, this is what's happening. And she's like, okay, well, I grew up in the United States, so she's like, we're gonna go to the thrift store, AKA the charity shop, and check out what they have. And then like a whole new world kind of opened up to me from that. So that was really kind of eye-opening.
Like for me growing up, it was quite a religious household. So in terms of sustainability, it wasn't really to do with the environment as such, but my dad always instilled in me to not be gluttonous and to not live in excess and live beyond my means and to just have what I need, because that's all that really matters. So in terms of like food, you'd have to finish what's on your plate, you know, you don't waste because other people aren't as fortunate. So it was always from that kind of standpoint. But we never used to recycle at home. We used to throw everything away, everything in the bin, and it was only when the government had the new system where they gave us all the recycling bins where it became a thing.
When it comes to recycling and your utilities, I really believe that it depends on where you're living. And I'm very fortunate to live at a council where, number one, they provide recycling bags, and then they've got 3 different bins where you can throw your rubbish. One for like common plastic and glass and metal recycling, another for organics, and the third one for general rubbish. So we're very mindful at home, and we've got 3 different recycling bins with different bags.
So I've lived in several different councils here. I live in London now, so and in New York City, it's where I'm originally from. They're not as diligent about recycling as they should be. I mean, they're getting better, obviously, and you can have separate bins now, but they don't do compost in New York City, which is kind of a shame for such a big city. But I can imagine it's such an immense, I mean, that's like a really logistical nightmare, potentially. But here in London, I'm really happy that they do compost. Tower Hamlets, they need to work on that, because I would always put everything in the compost bin, and for like a few weeks, they were like really good about it. And then all of a sudden I'm like, a couple of weeks, like almost a month, I'm like, why are you not picking up my compost? They provided recycling bin bags and also compost bags in your local library, which I thought was very useful and very helpful.
So where I'm currently living, which is actually up in Nottingham, I've actually noticed a comparison, because I've lived in, 3 councils within the last 12 months. And the ones in the southwest, in Bristol and North Somerset, they're both really good at having like separate bins, separate things. Whereas in Nottingham, I've noticed that they collect a mixed recycling bin, which is like plastics and I think like paper and card and metal. But your glass is recycled separately, and they don't collect it. You've got to go and take it somewhere. Which I think we do. I'm in a house share, and you take the glass bin up to like this. It's like maybe like a few minute drive. You can put it in one of those big bins. But not everyone's going to do that, because not everyone wants to, and I think a lot of people are probably a bit lazy with it and stuff. So I don't think it encourages you to recycle. And that's the one thing I noticed when I moved there. And I was like, why don't they take our glass? You're taking everything else. Take the glass too.
So for me, I definitely experienced eco-guilt. Definitely watching some like documentaries on Netflix as well. It brings everything to the forefront. I'm like, oh my God, I'm contributing to all this plastic in the Pacific Ocean. What are we gonna do? And I think there's a lot of conflict between people that might be lazy to do it. I feel super bad about is when I order food and there's so much packaging, and sometimes it's recycled, sometimes it's not. Sometimes I'll try and keep a little plastic thing and just wash it and reuse it, but I know I've ordered so much food, and even with the food I still eat meat. I tried to go vegetarian for about a month. I lasted like 2 weeks. I've tried so many times, and then I start to creep in the fish, and then I creep in the lamb, and it's really difficult because I was brought up eating meat. So even now I still feel really guilty about it, and I'm hoping that I can find ways to like introduce new ingredients into my diet so that I don't miss meat so much.
I think everyone, experiences eco-guilt. I think it's something that's just natural, and in a way, to be honest, I know this is gonna kind of ruffle some feathers, but I think it's actually important. I think it's actually a good thing, because it makes us that we are becoming increasingly more conscious of the fact of what we're doing. That's what we're doing has a knock-on effect, a domino effect that goes and reverberates throughout, not just us. Because the thing is that we're living in this digital age where everything's behind a screen. We're not seeing the tangibility of things, and how everything's being affected in the long run. I definitely experienced ego guilt. I am not perfect. But the thing is that I sit there and I go, okay, this is not correct, and I need to do some course correction, and then I need to offset. It's like, when you were like, okay, I'm gonna go to the gym, I'm gonna lose like a stone, it's gonna be great, but then I just ate cake.
So I think I definitely experienced eco guilt because I think we all do, like you were saying before. I think people are more conscious of it, so you're more aware of it. I think my things probably would be, because I gave up meat, I still eat fish sometimes. So I'm technically a pescatarian. I say vegetarian because I don't really like fish that much, so I only eat a couple of things. So I think that's been really nice for me to clear my conscience in one way.
For me, when I purchase a flight, is where I just go nuts and I feel terrible. I'm not originally from London, so I have to fly back home at least once per year. And I know that every time that I fly back home, it's just like 2 tons of carbon emissions to the atmosphere, and that just worries me a lot. So what I do now is I use the YAYZY app to offset my emissions, and I feel less guilty by contributing to these amazing projects that help remove carbon from the environment. What I would definitely love to see is more people joining the movement, more people demanding companies and brands to be more sustainable, and well, obviously the government putting a bit more pressure on companies to report the sustainability impact of companies and brands' impact on the planet.
For something that I think I could probably do better is, to be honest, I don't actually shop online a lot. I really don't actually buy that many clothes. I'm quite like I don't buy for an event. I try and reuse what I've got because I'm stingy more than anything. But maybe like giving things that charity shops would go, maybe giving vintage shops. The problem is a lot of vintage shops are sort of capitalising on this, and they're making their like Depop, for example, like so expensive. People put their prices up really high.
I used to have a magazine here in the UK, and it's quite successful. And the first issue we did it on menstruation, on women's menstruation, because it was a topic that we felt that really needed to be more explored. And we did a lot of research obviously for it, and we listed facts in regards to what actual options were there to be more eco-friendly with menstruation. And a really dear friend of mine came to me during that release party, and she was like, and she's an amazing intellectual, grew up in London, her parents are Irish and Indian, and she's super cultured, amazing. She's like, I didn't know any of this stuff, and I just started using a menstrual cup to be more eco-conscious because I didn't realize that was an option for me, and I love it, it's amazing. And I was like, wow, that's so cool. So that really, it can happen, and it's really beautiful when it does,
Slowly, but surely. Yeah. Thank you guys so much. Just putting that camera in my face.